Hello everyone, welcome back to Bosco Campus Vision. In today's lecture, we'll be covering the topics radio news, news value, news script, and form of a news script on a radio. Over to the first topic, radio news. News is a staple on radio and listeners rely on radio to keep them updated. So news is a staple, it is an essential ingredient on a radio and listeners rely on radio to keep them updated, to collect information. The radio is capable of transmitting breaking news and takes the listener to the place of the action. This feature gives it a distinct advantage over the print medium. So we have discussed in the first module the advantages and disadvantages of radio. A striking merit of radio is that it is capable of transmitting breaking news, unlike print medium. The fact that it is mobile and portable and can be accessed anywhere within a station's transmission limits gives it an edge over the cumbersome television. So radio is portable. It can be taken from one place to another, unlike television. So that is also another advantage of radio. It can be accessed anywhere within a station's transmission limit. Modern technology ensures that radio can be accessed on mobile phones, thereby making it even more accessible, and satellite radio has efficiently overcome the earlier disadvantage of transmission boundaries of the radio stations. So today we can access radio through our mobile phones also. So that makes it more accessible. It reaches out to many people, and satellite radio has overcome the earlier disadvantage of transmission boundaries. Meaning there is no transmission boundaries for radio stations now. One can access stations from across the globe via satellite radio. The next topic is news value. We have already discussed about news value when we spoke about newspapers in the first module. The events or occurrences that make their way into the news bulletin are determined by what is termed as news value. So it is based on the value of the news or the value of the news story that the editors, the reporters and the editors decide whether or not to have a news story on a newspaper. If it has value, that is, if it is likely to appeal to a large section of the audience, then it is selected and included in the bulletin. Whether it is radio, TV or print media, the values remain the same. Factors that determine value include timeliness, impact, proximity, significance, conflict, confrontation and prominence, which are discussed in detail in the first module. The human interest stories, that is any event that has the potential to touch hearts, elicit laughter, inspire or stir up emotions, has also got value in a news story. So the news values are basically the same for every media, be it print media or broadcasting media or online media, the news values remain the same. The next topic is news script. The script follows the two-column format. While scripting, there are certain golden rules to be followed to make it effective. So the script for a radio has a two-column format, and there are certain things that are to be kept in mind while crafting a script for a radio. The writer has to remember that the news is being written for the ear and hence must be as clear and concise as possible. So the script is meant for the listeners of the radio. So the writer has to keep in mind while he prepares the script. While preparing the script, he has to use a combination of short sentences, simple language and easily recognizable words. So the language used must be simple. Adopt a conversational tone without resorting to colloquialism. So the script should be informal, it should be conversational in tone. You have to avoid cliches, meaning you have to avoid commonplace usages. Make the copy as lean as possible, have short paragraphs, but cover all aspects of the story, that is 5 W's and H. So you have to keep the script short, but still you have to cover the 5 W's and 1 H. Write with flair, but ethically and responsibly. Be objective and correct. So the writer should have a writing style, but it should be ethical and responsible. He should be objective and correct while scripting. Use direct quotes with caution. Avoid it as far as possible unless relevant, as it is difficult to distinguish the quote from the rest of the copy. As far as possible, use bites or actualities of well-known people, as these voices are familiar. When using direct quotes, prepare the listener well in advance so that they know whose opinion is being stated and voice they may expect. So while using voice clips, you have to make sure that the listeners are aware of the person who is speaking to them. They should know whose opinion is being stated and voice they may expect. You should use direct quotes with caution and should avoid it as far as possible. When using acronyms, care must be taken. In case the acronym is pronounced in much the same way that the words are, for example, like in the word NASA, then it should be typed out in caps. But in the case of acronyms like ISRO, where individual letters are sounded out, use the following format, that is I-S-R-O. When it comes to acronyms, if you pronounce it the same way as it is written, as in the case of NASA, then it should be written together and it should be in caps. But for acronyms like ISRO, where individual letters are sounded out, you should follow the writing format I space S space R space O. I mean I hyphen S hyphen R hyphen O. The next thing to remember is that you should use approximate numbers. It is better to say approximately or nearly 300 rather than 287. So rather than being specific, you can go for approximate numbers. Write out numbers 1 through 10. Use numerals in case of numbers greater than 10. Include plenty of sound bites and interviews so that the script does not make use of the newsreader's voice alone. So you can include sound bites and interviews into the radio script so that it will not become monotonous with the voice of the newsreader alone. Moving on to the next topic, form of a news script. Each individual piece of news or each story is written following the structure where the lead comes first, followed by parts or supporting paragraphs. Then comes conclusion or closing statements. So the structure of a news script is that at first there is the lead, then the parts or supporting paragraph, then conclusion or closing statements. A lead is the first paragraph or the opening statement of the story. It informs the listener what the story is going to be about and serves to hook the listener. It will throw light on the most important aspects of the story and provide clues as to how the story would develop. A short lead works best. So just like the inverted pyramid style in journalism, the lead is the first paragraph or the opening statement of the story and it gives away the most important things that the listener must know. Then comes the parts or the supporting paragraphs. This follows the lead and forms the second and third sentences. It is an extension of the lead in the sense that it provides facts and explains the lead. So the parse or the supporting paragraphs tries to explain the lead. The next one is a conclusion. This reinforces the message that has been given out in the lead and the subsequent statements. It forms the final paragraph or par. It summarizes or retells the story in brief. So that is a conclusion. That's all for today. As assignment, write a note on radio news, news script, and form of a news script. Thank you and have a nice day.